What's up everyone? Today's story is about skin retouching in Photoshop, and we're going to be using the amazing and usual frequency separation, and this tutorial is going to be an in-depth or a full tutorial so that each and everyone can understand how to do skin retouching in Photoshop, and they can improve their photography and retouching game all together. And if I can go ahead, this image was taken by Wale Visuals. I'm going to put his link in the description of this video, and I'm running for my photography. So let's kick in and start retouching this image right here. This is a beautiful image. You can see the model looks beautiful and the makeup was on point. So let's also do some retouching which is going to be on point. So stick around and watch this tutorial to the end. I'll be sharing with you guys the most important tricks in frequency separation and the do's and the don'ts in frequency separation. So stick around and watch us edit this image. So we are going to be editing it together, me alongside you. So for frequency separation, a brief information about it: it divides the image into two, that is the color layer and the texture layer. So it divides it into two, that is the high frequency, which contains the textures, and the color or the low frequency, which contains the skin tone. So that is basically how I can define frequency separation. So we are going to start doing frequency separation. Remember, like I said, it divides the image into two. So we are going to duplicate the background layer into two by clicking Ctrl J twice. Yeah, Ctrl J twice, or you can just drag and drop right here to create a new layer. So we are going to rename these two layers. We are going to name this, for this tutorial, we're going to name this color. So for some cases, you're going to find when they've named this low frequency, and the top one they usually name it high frequency. So for us, we're going to name it texture for easy understanding of this tutorial. So as usual, click on your color, this layer in the middle, and click on the eye icon to deactivate this. So you're going to blur out the textures from this image so that you can remain with the color for only this layer. So I hope I'm clear with this. So come right here to filter, then come to blur, then come to Gaussian blur. So when you come to Gaussian blur, you'll see this box right here. So you can now zoom out and look at the area which has so much texture than the rest of the skin. So we're going to slide this radius until we are seeing less of the skin texture, but we can still see the facial details. So let's start sliding it until we see less of the skin texture, but we can still identify that these are the eyes, the nose, and the lips. So let us slide this. I think, yeah, we have blurred out the textures really well. You can see right here. So make sure you slide it until the skin texture is really invisible enough, but you can still see the details on the body or the face. So click OK. So we're going to come back. Sorry, I don't know why this is taking long. So let's wait for this. And if at all you're watching and you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe to this channel. I'll be dropping educative content for you guys. So it is done applying the Gaussian blur. You can see the image looks blurry, so you're going to come to our texture layer and activate it. Make sure it is selected right here. So we are going to come to image, and now you're going to come right down here to apply image. So when you click on apply image, this is going to be like your default. So remember, you're going to subtract the texture from this color layer. So just come right here and select color. Remember, we are going to extract the texture from the color layer. So come to the blending and look for subtract. So when you click subtract, you'll get the image. And if at all you don't have the image like this, you'll have to fill in these details. Scale 2, offset 128, scale 2, offset 128, and make sure invert is not checked. And make sure the opacity is at 100, and these two boxes are not checked. So click OK. So when you click OK, it is going to apply this effect. I don't know why my PC is acting up. So for this tutorial, you're going to be first of all using a mixer brush tool, and you're also going to use the lasso tool to perfect our skin tones in this portrait. So after you have applied that apply image, you still see the textures. You can see the textures in the image, but it is lacking color. So this is, we are now dividing the image. So come here to the blending options and click look for linear light. So when you click on linear light, you'll get back the image like it was before. You can see this is the image. So when we put these two layers in a group, I'll show you guys that it has not changed the image. So let's select them, click Control and select the two layers, or you can just shift and click on the top or the lower layer. So Control G to group them. So you're going to name this frequency separation for purposes of being uniform. I don't know if that's the spelling. So you can see when I turn this on and off, there is no difference at all. So meaning we have done it perfectly. We have divided the image into two. So right now what we're going to do, we are going to come right to the topmost layer, and for the mixer brush tool we are going to be using, we want to blend these uneven skin tones together. You can see where the skin tones are not transitioning well. So if you really want to see this well, this is the trick. Just come right to your adjustment layers and click make a black and white layer on top of the texture layer. So when you're making that layer, make sure you select this texture layer right here. Make sure it is selected and create a black and white. So when you do this, just come and now what you're going to do, we are going to pull the red channel. Yeah, we're going to slide it all the way down so that we can see these imperfect skin tones in these portraits. So I don't know why this is really acting slow for today. So but I won't stop doing the tutorial anyway. So now you can see we have so many imperfect skin tones. You can see this right here. We have so much highlight right here. So we are going to try to blend it, and as you can see for this tutorial, these blemishes are still there. So when I'm going to be using a mixer brush tool, I'm going to kind of flatten out most of the blemishes so that when I reach the step of removing the blemishes, I have less work to do for the removal of the blemishes. So just click right here to close that. So when you're using a mixer brush tool, remember you're going to be evening out the skin tones. So remember the skin tones are usually on the color layer of African separation. So come right here and select your mixer brush tool, and if at all you don't have it, just right click right here and you'll get your mixer brush tool. And if it is not around here, come to your brushes, right click and look for the mixer brush tool. So these are the settings you have to use for the mixer brush tool. Usually you can see I usually make sure it is a clean brush, and I make sure this right here is checked. And the reason for this is I want the brush to clean itself after each and every stroke I apply when I'm blending. So like when you're painting and you have a brush, every time you want to change a color, you have to dip it maybe in kerosene or water to remove that color and use another color instead. So this is what this means. Make sure this is checked. Use the wetness of 10, the load at 75, and mix at 90, and the flow at 100. Make sure sample all layers is not checked. The reason for a low wetness is because we don't want it to be high. Remember, when it is wet, it's going to apply so much more blending, and it's going to flatten the skin texture. Remember we are going in for a natural look. So remember, we want to retain the skin texture. So make sure you don't go above 10% for your wetness. So we're going to zoom in a little bit, and now you're going to start blending. So remember, when you're blending, make sure you blend the midtones alone, the highlights alone, and the shadows alone. So we are now on our color layer. So we are now blending the unevenness in these skin tones of our beautiful model. And yeah, this makeup was really nice. Wow, I really love her makeup. So Let's blend these uneven skin tones. Remember, when you're mixing, make sure you mix the highlights alone, the mid-tones alone, so that we can get those smooth, transitions between our skin tones. Yeah, so that's what we are initially doing. So I'm going to keep on showing you guys our before and after for our frequency separation. So just blend. You should take your time while doing this because I wouldn't want to have a really bad image after doing or spending so much time while doing the retouching. So make sure you really take your time and don't overmix an area for so long because it is going to double this effect of the wetness and you may get so many fake results for your image. So let me zoom out. So I'm going to turn this black and white layer off. You can see before after. You can see I've evened out these tones. So the reason for the black and white is it guides us and shows us clearly where the skin tones are not transitioning really well. So that is the reason for creating the black and white. It acts as our help layer when we are doing the frequency separation. You can see we have some kind of mid-tones right here. I'm mixing them alone, and we have a small highlight right there. I'm mixing it alone too, and we have this shadow. It's like I'm creating like some kind of smooth transition within the skin tones of the model. So let's keep on checking on our progress so that we don't mess up the image. You can see before after. You can see the difference between our retouching. So turn back this on. You can as well work without it, but if at all you want to have the best results from your retouching, make sure you have this help black and white layer because it clearly shows you where the skin tones are not perfect. So you can just come and blend them easily. So now we are now this side, and make sure when you blending, make sure you don't blend an area for so much, yeah, for a long time. Sorry, I don't know why my English is trying to fail me. So anyway, I hope you guys are getting the whole point for using the mixer brush tool. We are just like kind of blending this, and it is like in micro dodge and burn, whereby you first of all blend those areas that maybe the dark patches that are in a light area. So first of all you have to blend them really well before you can go in and start evening out those tiniest dark spots that are not in the areas they are supposed to be. So this is like something we are manipulating out of the micro dodge and burn. So, and if at all you're loving this tutorial and you're learning something, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Yeah, and don't forget to drop a comment so that you can motivate me to keep on dropping more retouching content for you guys on this channel. So, and don't be taken away with too much retouching. Make sure you keep on checking your progress, and it is this progress that is going to motivate you to keep on retouching. And the more or the better the results you see when you turn this on and off, the better you're going to be motivated and keep on retouching and getting the best out of your portrait. And yeah, this beautiful image is by Wale Visuals. So come back and turn on your black and white or your player, and yeah, continue blending. And the other mistake I have seen with most retouchers, they tend to forget these vital areas like the neck and the chest. Remember, someone is going to be looking at your image like overall. They won't not only look at the face, they will also go to the chest area. So make sure you really try to do that too. So keep on blending this, and I don't want this to be. I'll show you guys the whole idea for the whole mixer brush tool and the magic it really brings to our portraits at the end of the retouching. So you can see now we are done with that. So you can turn this off. You can see the before after by clicking on this eye icon on the frequency separation group. You can see the difference. You can see right on the forehead for the difference. So right now we are going to delete this black and white layer by dragging it to the trash icon, and now get our lasso tool. Make sure your feathering is at around we're going to use 19 pixels for the feathering. Yeah, and now we are going to zoom in. So here is the other trick. Make sure now you come and select the area of the skin. Make sure you're really careful. If at all you don't have maybe like a Wacom tablet, and for this tutorial I'm using my laptop, that's why I'm not mentioning anything like pen or retouching pen. So make sure you select the area of the skin. So here is the trick. Make sure your feathering is at 19 pixels. We're using lasso tool. Come to filter and now come to blur, then come to Gaussian blur. Remember the value we put when we are doing our frequency separation. We use a radius of 10 pixels. So you can as well slide this until you see less of the skin texture, or until you see a perfect skin texture right here. So just come and start sliding until you see a texture that is really fine for you. You can see that is fine. You can see 33.2 pixels is fine. You can see the texture is still there and the image is not looking plastic. You can see when you zoom in and out. But let me show you. Remember our radius initially was 10 pixels. So the trick I have to share with you guys is when you multiply this radius 10 times 3, you get 30. So any radius you may have used here, when you multiply it by 3, you get whatever value you get. So for this we use 10. So you're going to use 10 times 3, you get 30. And now the value you get, you add 2. I just discovered this on my own, so I found out that this gives me the perfect skin texture for my images. So I'm going to put 32. Sorry, I didn't delete. So when you put 32, you can see the skin is really beautiful and the texture is still there. So click OK. So you're going to be applying this effect on the rest of the portrait. So, and when you're selecting, make sure you select according to the shape of the area you want to apply the effect. So you can see right click and click Gaussian blur. So you're going to keep on selecting and applying the effect for this. So I'm sorry I'm not using any shortcuts because I want even a beginner to follow along this tutorial. So you can see I'm selecting according to the shape so that I don't distort or change the facial shape or structure of our beautiful model. So that's why I am selecting according to the shape. You can see when I come right here, I am trying ahead to mimic the shape of the area I'm trying to apply the effect on. So you just right click and apply the Gaussian blur. And now if at all you select, for example, let me zoom in. If at all you come right here and put your Gaussian blur and you feel the effect is too much, you can come and click Shift Control F on the keyboard and reduce on the effect on that particular area. So that is how you reduce on the opacity of the effect. So you click Shift Control F to reduce the effect of our Gaussian blur. So now I think we are done with the face. We don't want to overdo this, so make sure you don't skip out this area. Right click and apply the effect. to. So it's like right now we are now fine tuning on the areas we may have missed out when we are kind of using the mixer brush tool. So this is like right now we are now perfecting. Yeah, we are now perfecting these areas that we may have skipped out or left out unintentionally when we are using the mixer brush tool. So this is frequency separation, and if at all you master this, I promise you guys it is going to up your photography game. So you can see the before after. Let me zoom in so that you can see how beautiful this image looks. This is the before after. And if at all you feel like applying the effect, and for these areas right here, when you're applying the effect, make sure you fade it, because you wouldn't want to distort the eyeshadow or the makeup in these particular areas. So for removing the blemishes, we are going to be using uh, this spot healing brush and our clone stamp tool. So this is going to automatically remove the blemish. So make sure you increase the size according to the blemish you're trying to remove. Make sure the stamp is the healing spot healing tool is bigger than the blemish you're trying to remove. So make sure you're on your texture layer. Remember, your blemishes are on the texture layer. The blemish is skin part of skin texture. So that's why we have to select this texture layer. So this is our spot healing brush tool. So make sure it is bigger than the blemish. And now you can just click over the blemish. And if at all you feel that is really not nice, yeah, you can just come back right here. And now I'm going to use the clone stamp tool because it gives me a manual control of where I want to sample from and replace the blemish. So click Alt or alternate on the key on the keyboard. Hold it down. Click on a clean area to sample and paint over the blemish you would want to remove. So click Alt to sample from a clean area and paint over the blemish. So we are going to do that for the rest of these blemishes on our beautiful model. So let me try to be fast so that this tutorial is not really boring for you guys. And yeah, I've done so much of the talking, so let me try to be fast and get done with this important lesson. So I know you guys are learning something from this tutorial. So if at all you're learning, and make sure you hit the like button, and don't forget to click on the notifications bell when you do subscribe, so that you'll be notified or get that notification every time we upload new content on this channel. So just remove these blemishes. And remember, it is these small details that make a difference to your portraits at the end of the day. So if you leave the blemishes, your retouching will look really incomplete. So make sure you try and remove most of the blemishes. So right now I'm using the spot uh, healing brush tool because I want to be fast with this tutorial. So make sure you're also careful while removing these blemishes from your image. So just do that for the rest of the image, and you can come and remove these tiny little particles of makeup that may have gone on the eye and other parts of our beautiful model. So we are done doing the retouching for this image. You can see before after. And now for this tutorial, I'm not going to be doing any global dodge and burn for this image. So if at all you want to learn about global dodging and burning, or how to add shape and dimension to the portrait, I'm going to put the link up right here so that you can learn about that. So let's now jump in and start doing the color grading of this portrait. So just come right, we're going to be using selective color. So come and click right here and move to your selective color. So we are going to add science to the image. You can see when you turn this side, it adds science to the reds. You can see right here, and when you put it this side, it adds more greens to the reds. So we're going to add a little bit of science. We are going to go in for 12. And now we're going to add some little bit of yellows. You can see to our reds. I think this is fine for our color grading. And now we're going to let me see if at all we can whiten the eyes. The eyes really look nice and okay. So let's put all we have done in a group. So select the two layers, click Ctrl G on the keyboard. You can see now the before. After, there is no much difference in the before and after, but the skin has really been beautified. And if at all you love this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe this channel, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. And if at all you have just landed on this uh, video in your YouTube feed, make sure you check out this channel. This channel is really amazing, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell when you subscribe. And this image was taken by Wale Visuals. The link is going to be in the description of this video. And I'm Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in yet another retouching tutorial. And this tutorial has been about frequency separation in Photoshop. Stay tuned and stay blessed.